Hey everyone, welcome back to the Alberta Roundup. I'm your host, Rachel Emmanu. Today we're going to be talking about the Alberta government who paid tribute to Queen Elizabeth II this week. We're also going to be talking about the NDP who blamed the UCP government for its vaccine portal crashing, even while one of its MLAs hacked the system. Another Coutts border protester has been charged by the RCMP. And of course, we'll have our usual UCP leadership race update. All that and more happening now on the Alberta Roundup. Let's get into it. MLAs gathered on Thursday to pay tribute to Queen Elizabeth II, who passed away last week at age 96. Take a listen to the ceremony.
I move Government Motion 32, which reads that an humble address be presented to His Majesty the King as follows. We, Your Majesty's most dutiful and loyal subjects, the Legislative Assembly, now assembled, wish to express the deep sympathy felt by this Assembly for the great sorrow which Your Majesty has sustained by the death of the late Queen, Your Majesty's mother. Extend to all the royal family the deep sympathy of this Assembly in their grief.
Alberta Premier Jason Kenney also formally recognized King Charles as the King of Canada. Take a listen to that as well.
Your Honor, Mr. Chief Justice, Mr. Speaker, fellow members of Alberta's Executive Council, it is my duty to advise the Lieutenant Governor to issue a proclamation under the Great Seal of the Province of Alberta, announcing the death of Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and the accession of His Majesty King Charles III, King of Canada.
And the Premier announced that Alberta's federal building will be renamed the Queen Elizabeth II Building. Let's talk about the Coutts border blockade for a minute. A Coutts border protester who made headlines last month when he was implicated in his friend's conditional release has now also been charged by the Alberta RCMP. Marco Van Huigenbos told me this week he's been charged with mischief over $5,000 stemming from his involvement with the Coutts border blockade. In late August, Van Huigenbos' close friend and fellow Coutts border protester Alex Van Herk was detained by the RCMP. You guys might remember the story. Officers attempted to get Van Herk to sign a conditional release, saying he would end contact with Van Huigenbos. The two have been close friends for years. But that condition was dropped after hundreds of people showed up to the RCMP detachment to protest Van Herk's detainment. I caught up with Van Huigenbos this week and he said he was concerned the RCMP were going to try something similar, especially considering they would have had more time to think about what happened with his friends and to strategize to make sure the same thing wouldn't happen with him. But he had no issues when he turned himself in on Monday to be formally charged. He said things went exactly as planned and noted especially that there was no condition for him to end contact with his friend Alex Van Herk. Quote, "In my mind, that was a small win," end quote. Okay guys, let's move into the controversy of the week. Unsealed court records show that Rachel Notley's NDP knew one of its MLAs hacked Alberta's vaccine portal, causing the system to buckle, and then blamed the UCP government for the system's failure. In September 2021, MLA Thomas Dang allegedly hacked Alberta's vaccine record system by sending 1.78 million queries to test for a security fault. Meanwhile, Albertans attempting to access their vaccine records through the portal were forced to wait for hours behind a queue of up to 50,000 users at a time. And while this was all going on, some members of the NDP government blamed the UCP for the slow system. Chief Government Whip Brad Rutherford said the NDP crashed Alberta's vaccine system, yet chose to play dumb anyway and attack the government. Quote, "This is probably the most shameless stunt we've seen from the Notley NDP so far," he said in a statement to True North. What we're watching in the weeks to come. UCP leadership candidates Danielle Smith and Travis Taves have both surpassed $1 million in fundraising efforts. That's more than the UCP fundraised in both the first and second financial quarters. However, it falls short of the NDP's fundraising efforts for the year. Travis Taves has not released the amount of donors he has, but the Smith campaign says it has 5,442 donations with an average donation of $191. They are the only two candidates to release their fundraising numbers so far. I'm curious to see what has everyone else pulled in. The Schultz campaign and the Jean campaign both told me those numbers are coming at a later date, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. However, the Rajan Sawhney campaign and the Leela Ahir campaign said they have no plans to release their fundraising numbers. Worth noting as well, both those campaigns, they're polling at the bottom, likely to finish in the last two places on October 6th. Okay guys, let's move into our UCP leadership race update. We are coming close to the end of the race now here. Are you guys excited about that? Are you excited to see who the new leader is? Or are you going to miss the drama? I, for one, will not miss the drama. This week, United Conservative Party leadership candidate Rebecca Schultz sent supporters an email pretending to be an NDP supporter and begging Conservatives not to vote for Schultz, saying the NDP are afraid of her. UCP members on Schultz's mailing list received an email from Your Friendly Neighborhood NDP supporter with the subject, the NDP's worst nightmare. The actual email address listed was info@rebeccaforleader.ca. That is Rebecca Schultz's email address for her campaign. The email is written to Conservative voters and says the UCP appeared to be finished governing until Schultz came in on the scene as a candidate to take over as party leader and premier. We're terrified of Rebecca Schultz, the email says. Some of us actually say she's the NDP's worst nightmare. The email goes on to say that Schultz is the only candidate who has a chance of beating the NDP due to her clean record and fresh perspectives, which will win both urban and rural areas. The Schultz campaign told me the email was clearly fake as it contains Schultz's logo and was sent from her email. Quote, "The intent of the email was to ring the alarm on the possibility that the NDP will be the ones who come out as winners should we get this wrong. And that is precisely what it has done," they said in a statement to True North. At least one voter who received the email reached out to me and said they were deceived by it and actually thought it was from the NDP at first. They said they didn't appreciate the strategy. There was another UCP leadership debate this week, of course, not an official debate. Those have all been finished now, but there was the Fort Mac Forum, and there was a tense moment between Leila Ahir and Danielle Smith, where it appears that Smith accused Ahir of calling her a racist. Take a listen.
You can see that why Leila lost her board and probably isn't going to win her nomination. She lies about my platform all the time, and calling somebody a racist on this platform and calling someone a separatist on this platform is not acceptable.
That's what happens when you critique a policy and you critique the way the policy is coming in and the concerns around that policy, particularly with the way the world is right now. And that person is not able to answer succinctly about how that policy will work and goes into personal attack.
Of course, as we've talked about in some of the other podcast episodes, at all the debates, it seems like a lot of the candidates are pretty keen to pile on Smith. Looks like she got a little bit frustrated with it this time around. Okay guys, let's move into the Alberta politics funniest moment of the week. I have to set the record straight on something. I am not a constable in Ottawa and I did not donate to the Freedom Convoy. There is a rumor circulating online, picture of my photo with a statement about Christina, a constable in Ottawa who did donate to the Freedom Convoy and is now at risk of losing her job with the Ottawa Police Service and at risk of a dishonorable discharge for this donation. Now, I've appreciated all the support, but I have to admit that I'm not Constable Christina. I'm sure she would appreciate your support. Maybe we can find out who she is and set the record straight on it. However, some people have been saying that I likely deserve a promotion and a raise. I think that they're probably bang on about this. Okay guys, thanks so much for tuning in. As always, if you support our work over at True North, please head over to donate.tnc.news and consider giving us a donation so that we can keep bringing you the unbiased and fair reporting. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great weekend.